Assalamu alaikum. Once again, it's your host, Askari Abdul Wahid, better known as Abu Naima, coming at you once again. But this right here is an episode from the Bowtie Chronicles. And in this episode right here, what we're doing is we're touching bases with two of our guests, Political Pete, also known as Brother Harun, and also Riza, 786, also known Brother Muntadar. Okay, and so what we want to do on this episode right here is we want to bounce back and forth on the topic that will be live on the 17th. And this topic right here is the topic we're hashing out the ins and outs of repatriation. So without further ado, we give both of you guys about 5 minutes to give us your pros and the benefits, and then we'll look at the cons afterwards. Okay, if there are benefits as far as what you see, and if there are cons as far as what you see, because everybody has some experience with being overseas. So without further ado, I think Brother Muntadar is going to let Brother Harun go first because he's been overseas, and likewise he has the appropriate to let his elders go first. I'm just assuming, okay?
Absolutely.
Some of them young bucks, they just be like, no, but when you've been to that proper village setting,
Right.
he's been groomed
Yes,
that way. He just knows.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he just knows.
Yes, sir. That's right. Yes, sir.
So So without further ado, Brother Harun, give us what you got, my brother, as far as
right.
Open your own.
Well, that is a good question, and it's a question that allows you to reflect. I've been overseas for now 27 years. I mean, I left America in 1997. So that makes it 25 years. Sorry.
I lose count.
So yeah, it does have a lot of pros, and I think the main pro of for any African American or any American out there, it was the accomplishment of being able to travel outside of the United States. That's number one. When you find most Americans in general, a huge percentage of them, I can say definitely over 70-80% of American nationals whose history comes back, several hundreds of years ago, or even more than that. They're not so international savvy because they were not like really coming from immigrants that's been who's like more than 100 years. So we have immigrants that's been, and then of course how we got over to the United States. So we've been there before, maybe even passports were probably even issued. So I think it's a good thing for Americans in general, but let's specifically focus on African Americans. Okay. That yes, it's a good thing. It's encouraging to travel and learn from different cultures and people away from our Western culture, which is pretty dominant, because the American culture is more so towards integration. I mean, we were built off immigrants. I mean, let's per se. So a lot of times that's built into American culture. And when someone comes from, let's say, from Africa, they're not really letting you or showing you their culture at hand. So you don't see it. You just see a guy with a name. And possibly you'll be able to eat with him or know him. Things like this. Like we had a next door neighbor when I was 13 years old. His name was Kingsley from Nigeria.
Oh, okay.
But we never ate his food. We never learned anything from him. We were just laughing because when we were at his house, he would curse blatantly, in front of his family, in front of his parents. So, it was kind of like he was adopted to our culture. They didn't understand what he was getting at. So he was learning more from us than us learning from them. So when I went over to,
you would also be wise to note that when I was growing up, and I think also when you was growing up, cursing at your moms and your pops would get you backhand.
Right. That's why it was a shock for us. Yeah, that was a no-no.
Yeah.
So for us, that was considered as a no-no. So, they're learning a culture that they're really not familiar with. I'm glad you raised that point, Askari. So, they're learning our culture, and even though they're figuring it out, which was a bad thing to do, we never got anything from them in terms of, how it makes identifying who we are and how really strong we are as a people and what we've actually contributed. So it's kind of like allowing me to travel. It made me understand who I am. It made me to look at myself and my people from an outside perspective, and then to assess, what are the solutions for us as a people in terms of our continuous growth and development, and how we can learn from other cultures and other people that are traditionally upholding a lot of their traditions, not saying that we're not doing the same, because there's a lot of similarities. Like when I went to Sudan, they were cooking fried chicken. They were having a lot of delicacies that we are accustomed of eating as African Americans. Yeah. So I think pretty much is that I think I did benefit a lot. Knowing the culture, knowing the people, marrying. Another benefit was marrying from amongst them. And sorry, I think marrying from amongst. Yeah, I married from amongst the people here, there in Sudan, from Africa. So my children are also a part of that culture. So that was the main benefit, that I was accepted to marry from amongst them. And at the same time, I have beautiful children, and I can say, that's the connection. That's the benefit that I've gotten from it. And actually built really good strategic relationships with people from Africa that trust me, that believe me, and they would confide in me, and they're willing to do whatever it takes for our upliftment, whether it's privately or publicly.
Okay. Brother Rizza, 786. It's time for you to go ahead and chime up in there and give us your take,
Right.
on what you perceive. Now, remember, we're just talking about pros right now, because we're going to dip deep into the pros and then hit the cons a little bit later on. But the pros are basically what we want to hit into right now. So what you got? What you say?
Got you. Africans come to the table with a set of principles that we as African Americans used to hold dear to some decades ago, that we have lost to some extent. Having been around Africans from a young age, starting at 8 years old, up through my early adolescence into my teenage years and throughout to adulthood, the respect. They have immense respect for elders. And these are certain qualities that we have to reincorporate into our overall culture that we used to have as well, but are being lost. They're being lost. But there's also a sense of, they also have unity amongst themselves. Even if it's at the tribal level, there's a sense of camaraderie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That if we could incorporate that on a diasporic level,
okay,
would enable us to band together more cohesively and actually make bigger moves as a unit.
Stronger move, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Stronger. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Which is very important. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe that's the big difference between us as a people having the reach that a lot of other folk who from other countries come here with. They have this they have a network in which they tap into.
Okay.
And a lot of times this network tends to be global. And so when folk get here, they come here into a system that enables them to actually make moves
Okay.
because they're working within a network.
Okay. So with that being said,
Mm,
the idea of incorporating the same type of network for brothers that are seeking to repatriate, that's something that we should already be having set up for our people on the ground.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's a lot to gain. There's a lot to gain.
Okay.
I got family ties to Morocco.
Okay.
You know, I
Okay.
got family ties to Morocco. I've been there 4 times. I got children that are half Moroccan, Moroccan Berber, black Moroccan Berber, actually from the Sahara. Cambodia as well. I got ties to Cambodia.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Inshallah, you know, I was in Cambodia in 2011.
Okay.
You know, and
Uh,
just
what particular area? Cham Dynasty or what?
the Cham dynasty empire was in eastern Cambodia, bordering going into Vietnam.
Okay.
I was actually in
Okay.
Kompong Spur. And Kompong Spur is about 40 minutes away from Phnom Penh.
Okay.
And that was a whole other experience in itself.
The reason why I asked you that is because I did some research on the Cham Dynasty. This is before I traveled out of America, and actually,
Wow!
Yeah, and also we had a community in San Diego where I'm from. This community was a large Vietnamese community, and we also had another community that was Vietnamese in Orange County in LA, okay, and in Anaheim. A lot of the ones that were in San Diego, a lot of the, well, not a lot, maybe about 3 or 4 brothers married from these sisters. Sisters took Shahada immediately, and they had that history with them. They understood that, okay? The other community that was up in LA, this community here was a complete Muslim community, all right? But as a person looking from the outside, not knowing anything about Islam, you would never know. You would just think that, oh, these people, they're just Vietnamese or they're Cambodian and all.
Cambodian.
And you because you know the problem with us is that we don't tell the difference between different Asian people.
Facts.
Inside the cities, inside the hood, we're ignorant until we start talking to people and reading and stuff like that.
Facts.
So this is what happened to me. That's why I was just I threw that Cham thing out there because I studied up
Facts.
on the Cham Dynasty. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Way back then, wow, that's interesting because they actually the Cham even currently presently in Cambodia have a pretty strong presence. They're very respected in Cambodia.
Yeah.
Very respected.
Come from the
You
kingdom.
know.
Yeah, they come from the kingdom.
Yes. Yes. And the Cham, when you in terms of just real quick in terms of Cambodia, the Cham, when you say Cham, that's synonymous to mean Muslim.
Yeah, definitely. Because
you know what I'm saying?
The kingdom, the ruler and the emperor, and they were all they represented Islam. A lot of people don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
right.
Okay. So
I didn't know that.
Go ahead, brother Harun.
I didn't know that. Neither have I known that. That's
yeah, definitely. Yeah, for real. We got brothers in America right now that married from them, and I almost married a sister from there, man. You know, and them sisters, you know, they ready to get on. They ready to, you know.
Oh yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
You know what I mean? They just looking for, but the problem that we have in the area where we were is that a lot of their younger generation, just like us, younger generation was so caught up into what was happening in the streets and everything to the point where they were cut off from their elders. So the message wasn't getting clear to them. the brothers that were able to bring the younger people the message were able to marry their sisters, and then some of the younger brothers actually became Muslim. So where I'm at in San Diego, we had a large, at least about, I know 6 people from their community actually took Shahada at that particular time.
Wow. Wow.
Brothers had married from those sisters. One brother moved all the way back to New York with his wife, okay? And her little brothers became Muslims and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So at least 6 of them. Other than that, we had another Asian community that was there, and they just took off like wildfire. We had Filipinos that in San Diego that took off, and they're still running strong but they're spread all out now, but they're still running strong in San Diego. So we had our Asian was pretty large, yeah. So good on the pros, okay. I'm gonna give you some of my pros too, because I think it's only fair that I share with you some of the pros that I have concerning the topic. For me, repatriation became necessary, or importantly necessary, because of the as I became Muslim in 1990. I saw a disconnect that I told you about between the older generation, because I came in under what we would consider the pioneers, and this is the Imam War of the Muhammad community in relation to the leadership of Imam War of the Muhammad, and the brothers that grew me were older than me, and these brothers came out of the nation.
Right.
So these brothers here were now under the leadership of Imam War of the Muhammad, and they were, the ones that I was rolling with, they were maybe about 10 years younger than me, 15 years younger. I mean, older than me. I'm sorry.
Right.
There was a difference in there. There was a gap, minimum maybe 10, maybe 8, 9 years. They were older than me, and so. But the people that were the pioneers were older than them. So one particular brother that groomed me, this brother name was Brother Dawood, Allah Hamu. He's the Hispanic brother, Mexican and African American, and brother took his shahada and joined the nation way back when he was a teenager, like during your age, like about 16 years old. So he went all the way through that.
Right.
And when Imam Muhammad came over, that transition took place. Now, what I saw was that with the older pioneers and with the younger generation, a lot of their children were not fully practicing Muslims. They professed to be Muslims, but they didn't come to the masjid. They didn't, they do their 5 daily prayers all the time. Right. Type of thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't. I mean, there was a disconnect because of the. You can get bombarded living in the hood.
Facts.
And being a Muslim, a youth, you can. It's hard to
That's right.
School and display your Islam, and I think that the parents. And a lot of older people really didn't understand that. So a lot of these dudes, the younger dudes, they were, they joined gangs because it was rough on them. So they joined gangs. They was running the streets and stuff like that. But their mothers and fathers, they were Muslims. You know what I mean? They were Muslims, me and Mia. And they had been Muslims all that time. So for me, I saw that this was the outcome if I raised children there. Okay.
Right.
So I kind of like got to a point after I got married and I had 2 children. I realized that if the children stayed here, they were going to end up like that because the the ratio of children that succeeded
Right.
where I was at was just, it was at an all-time low. You know, I mean, good brothers, they still lost their kids, so it didn't make a difference. You know what I mean? And so one of the primary things that I put in my mind was that this is not a conducive environment for raising children. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Unless you have a community that's structured, and the community has an Islamic school set up so that the children are sheltered to some degree and see a curriculum that teaches Islam and Muslim teachers.
Right.
And, you know, don't have to go to the bathroom and dudes in the bathroom smoking marijuana and, you know, all the stuff
Right.
that, you know, in school, you know, everything go down in the school. School,
Right.
it can be a porn show, it could be anything. So
that big facts.
You know, so for me, that's one of the pros that I build all of my concerns for repatriation. Because of my experience, I didn't want to, you know, my experience, past life, running the streets and stuff like that. I didn't want that to, you know, go over onto my children. You know,
Right.
And so that's the reason why one of the major concerns for repatriation, because now I'm an adult, I can survive. I done did it already. Okay, but what about the child now? That's like saying Political Pete was back in Detroit. He Muslim.
Right.
He done did it all. He Muslim.
Right. Right.
Everybody know the work his dad put in before he became
right.
So
right.
Now, you know, they're hitting up, you know, his son, and you know, every time they see him, they kicking out these little hints to his son using whatever name they used to call him. You know what I mean? And so the son can get drug into trying to relive your legacy if you had a legacy in the past, in the streets or anything like that.
Facts.
In your neighborhood, high school, whatever it may have been. You know what I mean? So,
that's right. That's right.
For me, I just felt like, you know what, you know, it has to be something better for my kids. You know? That was one of the main concerns. You know what I mean? So that was the main concern. That's a pro automatically. Okay. Another thing was that a lot of our relationships that we have in America were void of, how could I say, understanding as far as roles are concerned. So you have a situation where a woman or a man may not know his role, okay? And so now you have, you know, confusion.
Complete
confusion. And so those were issues that I had, you know, and so, you know, I just had concerns because my first marriage was to a sister, African-American sister who I grew up with. And, you know, went to high school, junior high school.
Right.
Junior high school. When high school came around, we were separate directions, you know what I'm saying? But
right.
Basically, we grew up together, basically. So I knew her family and everything. So, you know, yeah, man, it's just, but I didn't have any kids with her. So.
Okay, right,
yeah.
Right.
So I didn't have any kids with her. So because of that, there was still a chance to have kids and not have them there.
Right.
Okay. You know, so those are some pros that I aspired for, and so that's what, you know, you know, I wanted to see for myself. So I traveled, and I didn't go with family or anything like that. I just traveled on my own, and so to find out and see. Now, let's hit Political Pete on cons, because, you know, for every pro, I mean, it got to be something. I mean, it can't always be all roses, because if that was the case, brothers wouldn't be, you know, repatriating from the States, right? So, you know, what are the cons in relation to repatriating to the motherland and so forth. What would you say on that, Political Pete?
All right. Well, you know, I just wanted to be a little bit really clear on. I think the con is that I think as Brother Rizza coined it, Rizza 786, he coined it that, you know, there's sort of this this romanticism with United States African Americans going back to Africa and thinking that everything is going to be just so acceptable and lovely and we're going to just be in Wakanda. And, you know what I mean? Like life is okay here and it's better than over there. Right?
So we calling that. So we gonna coin that. So that it circles around the YouTube market, the internet. We gonna coin that right now. So that's called the Wakanda effect. Okay.
That's Political P, by the way. Okay. Political P pointed Wakanda. Yeah, that's you, Political. You pointed.
He said, man, yeah, the Wakanda. You gotta hit it off. Nah, he said the Wakanda effect. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Sorry. You know, when I was thinking to travel, and you was thinking to travel 20 plus years ago, and I know there's brothers who've been doing it for the longest. You know, like you would rarely hear anyone speak on going back to Africa or even visiting Africa. Okay, let alone going there to say I'm going to stay there forever and that's it. Right. So I think when you fast forward up to 2020, I think. You know, what they're saying is a little bit, it's still an incubation and it's something that it's just over. It's like an overkill. They're overdoing it by saying that because, you know, we're talking about 20 years ago, nobody was thinking about repatriating back to Africa, right? But now everybody's saying, okay, we're going to stay. And nobody haven't even visited yet. I mean, most African Americans, you can see the percentile of us. Most of us, you could say, 90% or 80% of us don't even have passports, as I just mentioned in the beginning. You know, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but and the majority of us are not traveling to Africa.
If we did have passports, we never traveled to Africa. Okay.
Exactly. So that was kind of like a farce, you know, like, okay, going back to the motherland. We was always talking about, you know, Africa and going back to the motherland, but practically to go out and do it, nobody was really doing that. But now people are practically going out and say, hey, you know, I'm going to go back to Africa, but it's going to the extreme by saying, I'm going to go there and stay and live my life. So the factors that are not put in place, the real specifics are not there. And those specifics is economically, can you afford to do that? Now, if you're retired, a person who's have a pension and Social Security, and you're at your, you know, you're in your life. Like, you know, some people that I know, like my father, he's 80 years old, 81 years old. He'll be 82 next year. I would advise him, yeah, okay, Dad, go to Gambia with your pension. You can live the rest of your life, and you know, and you know, God take you back to heaven. Like what happened to our brother Fundi, his father, Abu Bakr. We just lost a great man.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Abu Bakr. I never met him, but I've heard about him.
Yes.
You know? So he was Tanzanian.
SubhanAllah, yeah. He was in the brother actually repatriated and he went to Egypt first and he studied some Arabic there. And after that, he went back to West Africa and eventually he settled in a place called Pemba, okay, which is an island off the coast of Tanzania, which is a part of Tanzania, beautiful resort. And the brother was a retired engineer. Also, I think he was retired from the service. And so basically, the brother, he left Brother Fundi, I think, in charge. So basically, he passed. Allah arhamu. He got married again there. He had two sons, and had settled. You know, but he became terminally ill. As far as I was told, with cancer, and he was battling cancer. Yeah, and so Allah just he just returned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yesterday. Allah arhamu. Yeah. The brother's name.
So I think it's just the cons. You know, the con of it is that you know, people are now taking advantage of that. Okay, you know, you've been in Africa, you stayed there 3 or 4 or 5 years, but you know, tell me how you're generating your amount of money that, you know, you can say everyone else can come over here and do the same thing. So I think it's about preparation. I think it's about visitation and really, really finding the real facts on the ground on where you're going to go and how you're going to go into that environment, deal with those people from those specific tribes and nations, and also identify yourself as an American with a culture and knowing exactly what you can contribute to that place, to that country, or to that in the continent of Africa, that you can bring from the United States. So it's not that you're bringing over, you know, you want some relaxation. You don't want that much distractions as you find in the United States, but you know what I mean? At the same time, you should also think about bringing over the resources and looking at it from a level where you can actually face the challenges that you're going to face on the ground that the local people are facing culturally, tribally, economically, education, you know, resources, you know, energy, water, all of these things. What is it? What kind of value are you going to bring? Because you're coming from the so-called greatest nation in the world.
So-called
strongest nation in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah. But when you weigh it, from my experience, brother Ascari, based on our advances and because if I said no, that's not true, then I'm going to say, well, my ancestors didn't contribute to the greatness of what America really is. Now, you know, people got a definition of what greatness is. Great.
Yeah, they did contribute. They did contribute, but their contributions were stolen. And so,
but you know, But let me say this, brother Ascari. The thing is, though, when you talk about HSBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, when you talk about inventions, there are certain things, of course, that they cannot take away from us. But that we don't know. So a lot of African Americans or a lot of people from overseas, they don't know what we've actually contributed.
Right.
And our plight is different than the American plight. So when you relate me as an American, my definition of American is totally different than the common American that immigrated in to the United States, or the old German who came over during the time of after Christopher Columbus in the 13 colonies. So what I'm trying to get, one of the most frustrating things for me was when someone started saying things about America, I don't take it from that point of view of what the white guys did. That's my fight. And nobody can talk about that except me and those, let's say my cousins. Because it's a white and black thing, right? They made it white and black. But we still have some unfinished business that's been lasting over 400 years. So if you want to be an assistant to that, like, you know, you're more than welcome. That's from anywhere in the world, you know. But the way I look at it is, I was more in the point of, I need to know where do I stand in terms of, me being an American, what I've contributed and what our plight was, Ascari, and what we went through. That's in itself created and established our own culture. So when we go over, we want to be able to say, look, we got a peace of mind. We go to Africa, we got a peace of mind. That's for sure, brother. You ain't got, you know, they still have ethics. They still have foundation. So many good things when you go to Africa and you amongst those people. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. But we got to actually be able to say, look, my problem is not with the brothers from Africa or those countries in Africa. It's with ourselves as a community that, yes, when we leave America, we go back to Africa. Okay, whatever country we're going to go back to, we should be well prepared, and we should still identify ourselves as who we are and grow from there. And grow from there in both places, meaning we still can strengthen ourselves back at home, but at the same time strengthen ourselves in the country that's hosted us.
Okay, so how will you
taking us as their
okay, moving from that, okay, which I get you. All right, good point made. Okay. Good point made. How do you move to that point of strength? Okay. How do you move to that point of strength? Because like for instance, me and you, we've already repatriated, okay? And so now you're already in the thick of things, okay? How do you, you know, what is your, you know, what is your move? You know what I mean? Do you?
Scar, The problem is for me is I've been over in the Arab and Muslim and African world for over 25 years, and I don't see that I'm still reminded that I'm living in a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still living in a suitcase, brother.
Okay.
So if I really want to say I have a home, right? I do. I can honestly say Sudan is the only African country that I can identify with that we've laid our seeds, Askari. That's home for us. We can truly say when we go to Sudan, ain't nobody gonna tell us to get out. Nobody's gonna cause no problems with us. We can buy land. We can get our passports. We can do anything that any other Sudanese national can do. That's real. So I think the solution, what I mean to say is, what I was really trying to get at, Askari, was not to take it to the level high, but just to the commonality of just, I think the best thing is anyone who wants to come to Africa, study where you're going to go in Africa, make those type of relationships because you have internet. It's not like the way we were when we started at Askari. We just jumped on the plane and that was it. You know, we was on the dream and a prayer with a couple of $100 in our pocket. You know what I mean?
That's how
like we were really adventurous. You know what I mean? It ain't like it is now. You know, you got vlogs and, you know, people, you know, talking about the beauty of Africa. So that's all great. That's encouraging. But now you have a chance to go and study and visit and be students. We were students. We went over there to get education. We were over there to learn. We went to the University of Africa. So we're not discouraging you not to go to Africa, but to really define. And I think that's what the purpose of Askari, your show, is, to define what that means. Okay, and I think that's the first step.
So your main focus, in which I got from that right there, is that a person needs proper knowledge and a unity in order to make a proper move.
Correct.
Okay.
You got it right, brother.
Based upon everything I heard, okay? So with that being said, okay, knowledge, because basically all we had was, you know, we sat with a couple of people, we heard some stuff, you know, we probably went and hit some books every now and then to find out some stuff, but right now it's just all over the place, it's all over the internet, and that's what makes it, it's right in your face. So a lot of people don't have excuses like the excuses we had. We, like you said, a prayer, and you know, said a hope and a prayer. We just boom, we out of there. You know, we move it. You know what I mean? And that's how that happens. So yeah, that's what makes it different. Okay, so we're gonna come back to those points right there, and the points are knowledge and unity. Okay, Brother Mutada, give us some comments on this concern here. Okay.
Okay. Do I got time? Few minutes?
Yeah, you go ahead and roll. No.
Okay.
Even if we cut, we're gonna come back on and finish it off. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So
regarding the.
Look at it. That's the cut right there. The Adon, that's the cut.
Okay.
So when we come back, we're gonna come back with you on cons. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
Okay, brothers. Shukran. Give me a few. I'll be back at y'all. Assalamu alaikum. And I appreciate this. This is
wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Needed footage, man. This is needed footage. Thank you once again here at the Bowtie Chronicles. If you like the footage, please hit the like button, please share, and stay tuned for our Zoom discussion on the 17th. Thank you.